Right, you are nearly there, I promise. I can remember when to stand up. That's us. Did Lang prevail? I don't know. Do you think? Did Lang defeat the boss? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We had a planning session where we wanted to have another animation, and I loved the animations. I don't know if anybody else liked them, but I'm in love with them. And Lang would actually fight the dog, and would die. And Lang would be lying with his head next to him with blood spurting in an 8-bit style out of his neck. And I wasn't allowed. Let the record show that I wasn't allowed to do that. But guess what? It doesn't actually matter, because in the environment that we've had today, everybody's been able to stop and think and play things back through in their minds. And that was the point of today. The point of all LangCat Live sessions, actually, is to try and step out for a little while, free our minds, think in a different way, challenge each other, and we had a fair bit of that on there. Everybody's always very polite. I've had people refuse to participate in some of our sessions because I don't want to be up in anybody's face. Really don't worry about it, it'll be fine. And so we've had some of that today, but we've also had a lot of people differing very, very politely, and so I hope you can kind of look through some of that to see the different places that people are coming from. I want to kind of go back to the start of the day, to Jason's session, and then to the bit when we were sort of establishing our landscape and so on, and try to think about what those guys said that kind of resonated back to now, because it's easy to forget, because it was at least a week ago, I would have thought. And I mentioned it in the Dave and Jackie session as well. Tech goes faster than people can. And I think that's going to stay with me, actually, because what I didn't hear today from those change experts, who amongst them have dealt with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of firms who are facing all the stuff that today was about. So they were completely crucial. All the planning firms that have shared their experiences, Kat from the paraplanning side, working with lots of different firms, and even from us, from all the firms that we see going through stuff, let alone how many firms Nick and Dylan and Pete serve from practice management perspective. I didn't hear anybody say everything that's been built is rubbish. I didn't hear people say this is shit and that shit, all the stuff Steve said at the start. I didn't hear that. I heard people say there's good bits, but it needs to work together better. I heard people say if it could hook up so that I could work out what parts I want to do, then that would be a massive help. I've heard people talking and up in the during coffee and all that stuff. I've heard people talk about faults. That's a thing. That's definitely a thing, and bugs need squashed and all that kind of stuff. That's just part of building technology, right? It's just what you do. I'm looking at Nick. Just part of life. The ghosts in the machine, and you have to stop them. Otherwise, this scary square Vicky face comes and destroys you with cars. That's from iRobot. I'm sorry. So that's just part of it. I've heard talk about service quite a lot, which is interesting, because the more, of course, you want your technology firms to be fully staffed up to service you, the more expensive it gets. The technology costs a lot to build, just like putting on conferences. And you get return for that by deploying it in lots and lots and lots of places and lots of people paying license fees without having to staff it with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people around it. And the answer that we tend to get from advisors is, well, it should just work then. And the answer is, well, it probably does, actually, because I'm not aware of many firms that ship stuff that just doesn't work. It's what does work mean? And that, to me, certainly from the earlier part of the day, was the thing that I wanted to kind of save. Was trying to remember, as you're in the heat of battle and you got space invaders coming at you or whatever else, what does work mean? When my gun doesn't work, does that mean that I just didn't fire it at the right space invader? I forgot that one that was looping around the side and came in to get me. Because it might be that, actually. And one of the other most telling things that I heard today, I can't remember who said it, I'm really sorry, but it was bracketed at the start of the day. I think it was Marcus saying, like, the fundamental building block is we own our data. It's our data. actually your clients own the data, but you are definitely a controller of that data. And it's incredibly valuable, right? The level of information that the firms in here and all you lot still at home that you have is, I mean, other organizations, I don't know, we've mentioned some of them with Goggles and Space Karen and all those other people, they'd go absolutely nuts for the stuff that you know, because they actually, a lot of the kind of algorithms that we think are all seeing and all powerful, from social media in particular, actually don't know all that much. They have to guess and hypothecate. You actually know. You actually know what these people are into. You know what they like, you know what they don't like, you know what they're trying to achieve. Nobody else knows that. Not even their doctor, most of the time, knows that stuff. You have the single most powerful point of data, probably in the UK. I don't know if it's the same in other countries, it probably is. I can't think of anybody else that's better. Your bank only knows what you spent money on. It doesn't know what you intend to do. And that's a remarkable state of affairs. So if you start from that, somebody then said later on, and as I say, I'm really sorry, I've forgotten who it was. Somebody else said, basically a nicer version of garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have your data in great shape inside whatever systems it is that you choose to use, then you're done. You're never getting anywhere. Now, again, where are the points of failure in that? Because today, in saving our progress, trying to work out the good bits and the bad bits, right? So the bad bits are where the data isn't good enough. Where it double counts something, that's a fault, right? Something's gone wrong there. There's a routine that's wrong, and that's something that needs fixed. That's fine. Where valuations don't agree with what you think they should be, usually I got a big kind of lecture on this from a major kind of tech platform provider. It's usually because it's coming from a different time. It's a timestamp thing. You've got a valuation that's from a different point compared to what you thought you were getting because you've taken it from somewhere else. This one doesn't marry up with that one. So you have to decide what the source of truth is. There are systems out there who only exist to say which is the master record. Is it if it comes from here or comes from there? And you just have to choose. They'll both be right on a different day, unless something's genuinely fallen over, which is a completely different issue once again. But you've just got to decide, and then you've got to go with it. And so what you're doing is making structured decisions about data. And I think that's what I heard, certainly through all the planner discussions this afternoon. I heard firms that are trying in different ways to make structured decisions about their data, which could be from a business management perspective, so business information dashboards and all that kind of stuff. So you're choosing what to care about, what to operationalize, and what to go after. It could be what goes into a client review report. It could be how you decide what platform it is you're going to allocate capital to, or whatever it might be. It doesn't matter very much, actually. It's about having that decision-making process. And once you have that, it seems to me that for us to make progress, so to move past the kind of, okay, we're sort of happy with the fact the system holds name, address, and NI number and whatever else, or that one tells us what the valuation are and what the transactions are. We then need to say, what do we want to do with it? And so you have to be able to make structured decisions about that as well. And then you can say, if you were writing a spec, I always think it's good to imagine that you're writing a spec for something. Then you can say, right, I want it to work this way. I want that to go to there, then I want that to go to there, and I want that to turn up in there, and then I want it all to look like this. How do I do it? And people can do that. You can build that. What you can't do is say, it should just bloody work and hook up. Well, it should, but that means different things to everybody in this room. And so again, the only way you're going to get it is either to take that incredibly complex, incredibly powerful and very, very exciting step that you've heard lots of people talk about today. And every time the change expert said, you know, you really need to decide what it is you want to do with your business, you really need to, these are very high-level statements, and they're phenomenally difficult to fulfill. And that's why having somebody to work with, to Tom's point, is super, super important. It's not just learning the rules of the game and the different systems and stuff. It's going through that kind of learning and self-discovery process. And that's what's important. So you either got to do that, and you can either do that yourself, or you're going to work with some people to do it. And I think I've seen lots of people who are very happy and have happily saved their progress that they've made through that. Or you can go another route. And it's not one that we've talked about today, I think because a certain kind of firm tends to come to our events. But another thing that you can do is join in an environment where those decisions have already been made for you. And you don't have to worry about it anymore. We call it vertical integration or consolidators or whatever else. And I guess from Annette earlier on, the reason Annette pulls her hair out is she has to make decisions on this on behalf of, did you say 60 firms or something like that that have joined the succession ranks. Now, it's very easy to throw rocks at these kinds of companies. Who wants to do that? I don't want to do it their way. I want to do it my way. Yeah, but I tell you what, there are people in there who are analyzing and actually making structured decisions of the kind that we're talking about. Now, you might not want to do it, but I think it's good to look at those kind of structures and think, how do they get to where they're getting to? Because they have to knock away the noise, because you can't operate at scale running around wondering how this data field's going to get to that system. And so in all of that, I didn't hear lots of firms saying, I hate this SIP. Everything else is great, but that SIP sucks. We should definitely have different SIPs. Or there's too many kinds of ISA. That's the worst thing we've got to deal with. You know, everything else great. I wish there was one fewer kinds of ISA, because it's really hard to learn them. Or whatever. I didn't hear any of that. I didn't hear anything product-y. I didn't even hear people that were that cross about functionality in the systems that they have problems with. It was all about how data moves from one place to another. And if that's the case, then actually we can forget quite a lot of things that people traditionally argue about. Oh, that's quite cool. If that was an outcome from today, that we thought, actually, we'll stop worrying about whether that version of X is slightly better than Y. The rebalancing protocol on that one is very slightly kind of stuff that gets like me and Steve incredibly excited about, ooh, look, it does this. Let nerds like us worry about that kind of stuff. You don't need to worry about that, because broadly speaking, what you get to use as kit is sort of all right. There are bits that can be better, but that wouldn't be transformational. What it could do is be deployed better, or it could link up better. So if we want to save our progress, we want to think about what's been good in this industry, I would suggest that a lot of stuff that has made your clients' lives, most importantly, and hopefully your lives as business people, better, is actually not bad. And that's a pretty good place to be. It's better than I thought we were going to get. I have no idea how this is going to go today. I mean, there's 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. It could all go pretty horribly wrong from now. I do know, however, that however, you know, robust I may be at events that I run and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to say fuck less than Natalie and Tom in that last session. I can tell you that. I thought it was disgraceful. But there we are. So that's kind of my thing from there. What do you get from a day like this? I don't know. I hope you hear some interesting things. I hope you hear some perspectives maybe that you don't get to hear all the time. That's a really good thing. I hope you get to network and meet new people and all that kind of stuff. And all of that is very worthwhile. Days like this are phenomenally challenging to put on. Usually when I stand and finish one of the Landcat events, I'm just about to hit the floor. And this time I'm not, and that's because the team at the Landcat has grown phenomenally over the last little while. And I'm absolutely blessed with astonishing colleagues. I've also got some ones that aren't that great, if I'm honest. But the good ones are really good. And I want to particularly mention two today, and that's Natalie, who has not only shouldered so much of the presenting today, but came up with the Save Your Progress concept. So if you hate it, it was Natalie's fault. And has been tireless in, all the speakers will know, she's been tireless in working with you and all that kind of stuff. A hand for Natalie, please. The other person I want to give a really, really special vote of thanks to is one of our newer colleagues, and she is sometimes known as Jenny Smith, other times she's known as the Oracle, who in effect has turned into me for what I used to be for this event, and has been up till whatever hours putting all sorts of stuff together. And most of that work will never, ever be recognized, but it will be just now. Thank you, Jenny. The worst, the worst people to have been involved in this are our events team, Parallel Blue. They're really bad. They're awful. They're terrible people. They steal money from children. And many times do not give their mothers flowers on Mother's Day. I mention this because if you all run out and start using them, they're going to get really expensive, and then I can't have them anymore, which would be a shame because we absolutely depend on them. If you do need an events team, joking aside, please call Parallel Blue. They are absolutely magnificent, and thank you to all of them. And the final one, well, yes, it's fine, it's fine. And finally, it's not done enough today because there's never the time to do it, but there's a list of companies on here: Aberdeen, Criterion, Fidelity, Nucleus, Parmenion, Quilter, and Scottish Widows, all of whom gave generously so that we could do this. And it's a remarkable thing in a time when budgets can go in all sorts of different places and times are hard out there. To get support from all these companies means the absolute world to us. I said at the start of the day, it's on a basis that it's not going to be the kind of conference where you say, well, our ISA is actually really very good, Mark. That's not going to happen. These are enlightened companies, and we thank them very much indeed. So thank you to all the sponsors. Right, well, yes, thank you. We're basically done. If you're a streamer, you may now go, except if you do go, you're going to miss the end credits, and they're funny. But you can look away or something and read about what else Rishi Sunak's promised today of perhaps avoiding the, the fridge tax when there was no fridge. Who knows? Those of you in the room, you have now 2 options to take as you leave the game. The first option is a really boring one. It involves getting your coat from out there, if you've put your coat in the coat room, and buggering off and going home and watching, I don't know, EastEnders or something. Anybody that wants to do that, that's what you should do, but you're not going to enjoy it. The cool people and the fun people are going to come out here, and some of the Parallel Blue guys will lead you in crocodile formation. I want 2 by 2, hand in hand, please. High-vis will be handed out. And we'll take you up to the rooftops bar, where, courtesy of our evening sponsor, Parmenion, there will be drinks and nonsense happening. There's going to be some video game stuff up there, I believe. There might be some prizes to win, some of which might be quite cool, some of which might be T-shirts. Just saying. And that's going to take us through to, I think, about 6:30, something like that, at which point the really cool kids will realize that, I don't know if anybody saw that Parmenion have announced a much more profitable year than last year. We're going to go and put that right. And we're going to do that in Revolution, which is just over Chambers Street. So the front entrance or exit to the museum. We're going to go over there, down to the basement. We've got a private room and some food down there. Room for lots and lots of people. Last year, that finished at about 1 in the morning, I think. And that's not compulsory. You may leave any time after midnight. So I hope as many of you as humanly can will come and join us for some drinks and maybe some more drinks and some food after that. Meanwhile, everybody, whether you were at home or in the room, you all had a range of ways in which you could spend your day. You chose wisely. Thank you very much for coming.